This video is way too long-winded for a comical intro, so I scrapped it. Just know that I like to make awkward rambling jokes, and YouTube only likes to promote videos that I rush and half-ass. The side character work in the previous SAO arcs. In a 3-year-old speculation video made about the first ordinal scale movie trailer, I said this.
SAO, the first 2 seasons, the writing wasn't great, I'll be honest, it's not.
And honestly, fuck that shit. There's already enough SAO hate on YouTube, and a ton of SAO apologetic fans online. If you hate SAO, then you'll never change your opinion, and who the fuck am I to feed you mine? There's a ton of other YouTubers for that. That should cover the formalities. Let's get to the meat of the video. The actual clip from my old video that matters to us here is I actually can't find it, because I can't get myself to watch this 8-minute video without skimming through it due to just how bad it is. It might just not be in the video in the first place because it's just unscripted and rambly, and it's easy to lose track of your points that way. The thing I was trying to reference, however, is back then I kept saying for this movie to make any sort of positive impact in the franchise, Kirito's friends would have to save Kirito. As in, don't have him be the one that comes in and saves the day. Let his friends carry his dead weight for once. That would do a ton for the side characters. Sword Art Online's weakest link back then was the side characters. Everybody could be summed up in one sentence. Solo guy, stubborn warrior, stubborn sniper, Seth Rogen without any screen time.
Major part of this. Yeah.
Girl that wants to fuck her brother. I love 4 of these characters, and 2 of them aren't even side characters, but they've had just as lazy characterization outside of the novels. At least until we hit SAO's most recent arc. Alicization finally got an anime, and between this and the original first 2 seasons, this has to be the most alive feeling world we've gotten so far. The side characters here get screen time. They get enough focus for us to at least give a shit when they're on screen. I audibly groan whenever I see Sugaha on screen to this day, because ignoring her is the only way for me to not be turned off from the scene. And the last thing you want your viewer to do instead of pay attention is cringe. The core gang of the series is just people that Kirito likes and they like him back. There's no common cause here. It's not like Dragon Ball where Piccolo would side with Goku at the beginning of the series because of a world-threatening threat. So their entire motivation is defined by why they like Kirito. Asuna. She likes Kirito because they're in a relationship. She's the easiest to watch on screen because of this. Sinon. She replaced the entire cast for a whole arc. If there's anybody that feels somewhat fleshed out, it's her. Though the treatment she gets afterwards is a bit shit. Lisbeth. She was part of Aincrad and the whole crush thing is way past us at this point, so it doesn't matter, she's cool. Silica. Same thing as Lisbeth. Azul. He wasn't just a part of Aincrad, he fought side by side with Kirito and Asuna. This man gets mega street cred. Klein. He was Kirito's first friend as far as we know. No, seriously, the dude is never seen with any real-world friends from before SAO, so he might have just been the very first friend of a very sad and lonely teenage boy. He also gets mega street cred. Side note, please give Klein and Angel more screen time. They're dope fucking dudes. Probably the part of your supporting cast with the most personality, because everybody else just phases in and out of generic waifu depending on what arc we're in the story. Even Asuna. These are the reasons the supporting cast isn't that good. They don't really get fleshed out much because they just lean on the arc they were introduced in. Aincrad was a rushed shit show when it comes to character work, and that's where most of your problems come from. Fairy Dance only fleshes out Kirito, which is alright, but everything else about that arc was trash. Sinon had the best introduction arc out of everyone, so I still give a shit when she's on screen. Kirito, Asuna, and Sinon is pretty much the full count of the people in this franchise that feel like they somewhat matter. This is where Alicization is different. This has to be the best arc in the entire franchise when it comes to character introduction. The Integrity Knights, every single time one of them gets quality screen time. The only reason any of them could feel less fleshed out than the others is because they're not getting as much screen time. Unlike the main cast where they get it constantly, but it's all about Kirito because the show just assumes you already care. With Alicization, it has to earn it, and it does that pretty well. I'm not here to rave about Berkuli, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Alice, though those characters are all amazing to me. but I can't just rant about the old cast this long and completely disregard them. Remember that Piccolo analogy? It's not like Dragon Ball where Piccolo would side with Goku at the beginning of the series because of a world-threatening threat. So their entire motivation is defined by why they like Kirito. Well, in this case, this arc really borrows a page out of Dragon Ball's book, Kirito's arc and the characters around him. In Totally Not Mark's video essay, The Misunderstood Character, about Goku, he goes over how Goku not changing over the course of the story isn't poor writing, but instead a writing decision. He says,
on a fundamental narrative level, the character of Son Goku is deeply misunderstood by an enormous portion of the viewership because Goku does have a character arc. He is a terrific example of what writers call the flat character arc. In 2016, K.M. Weiland published a book called Creating Character Arcs, in which she describes 3 character arc methods. The positive character arc. This is the most common character arc found in fiction where the character undergoes a positive change. The negative character arc, where the character undergoes a negative change. And finally, the flat character arc. In order to make sense of the flat character arc, it's important to understand the most common arc in storytelling first, the positive character arc, in which the character in question spends their entire journey overcoming a specific lie they hold to be true. Weiland calls this script writing trope the lie the character believes. A wonderful example of this positive character arc is observed with the character of Vegeta. For his entire existence, Vegeta has been someone who believed that power was the only important thing in life, and to pursue anything else would be a fool's errand. This was the lie Vegeta believed, and throughout his life, this lie was reinforced by the world around him. Through pursuing this end, Vegeta sacrifices everything to achieve his goal. It's his belief in this lie that leads him to die on planet Namek. When faced with the reality his choices have led him to, he crumbles and ultimately falls. Vegeta's lie was that he believed the only value to be found in life was through the pursuit of power, and his arc was about the journey he took in order to overcome this lie and to embrace what was actually true, to find value in those he loved. And in that moment, the viewer and Vegeta share a much-needed catharsis. As Weiland writes, the positive character arc is about the lie the character believes, which he will spend the entire journey overcoming.
Okay, this is turning into a much longer tie-in than I thought it would be, but I might as well devote an entire section to this since I'm never making a separate video about it. Like Mark said, the lie Vegeta believed was pursuing power was the most important thing in his life. On the other hand, because of the events in Aincrad, Kirito believed he could do anything and should do everything on his own. That if he willed it enough, he can accomplish what he desires. That he was strong enough. This is the lie Kirito believed. It wasn't represented in an egotistical way, and he didn't pursue power. It was presented through him feeling nobody had to help him because he should be the one capable of, well, saving Asuna. Yes, I'm linking this with the Fairy Dance arc, and it hurts me more than it hurts you. The most integral instances to this are the 2 attempts to climb the World Tree and the 2 attempts to fight Sugu at the top. The first time Kirito tries to climb the tree, this happens. And he literally monologues about his character arc. Alright, it's a little vague, but that's the first time and last time they ever adapted his constant monologues from the novel to the anime. And it was the only shit he's ever said in the entire franchise that's integral to his character. Shortly after, Worst Girl comes barging in to help him or something, but she's too late. Whatever, let's move on before I throw up. So, Kirito's almighty in-game skills aren't enough to cut real roadblocks. That's his first reality check. Back in Aincrad, his solo survival decisions backfired because the people he cared about died. Mainly Sachi and her guild, but also Asuna, though Kayaba let her survive because he wanted to talk to the couple after the fight anyways. Either way, that's when he started believing the lie. This is very poorly yet very adamantly shoved in your face when he has some PTSD scene on the bridge with Leafa. I can't really say this was a good scene because it feels off considering this game has no death and he transforms into the Gleam Eyes later, which is never fucking explained considering all we heard about Spriggans is they can do illusion magic. Seriously, fuck Fairy Dance. The arc doesn't like world building or character building. Well, almost. That hints at what development he has to face here, and he actually does. The next time he goes into the tree, he gets backup from every big guild in the game and gets to the top. Alright, on to the second instance. Here in Kirito's fight with Sugu, we see him getting his fucking ass kicked. Now if they didn't include the rapey vibes with Asuna, this would have been my favorite fight scene in the entire first 2 seasons, because this is a really in-your-face approach to showing us that Kirito can't fucking do this. He can't just be the big boy shonen pro tag and save the day. He needs help.
これは報いなのか。ゲームの世界なら俺は最強の勇者で、アスナを自分の力で助け出せると思い込んで。
And just as in your face as the setup, Kaiba's dead ghost that's planted in the seed, which, by the way, brilliant move to just techno freeze himself like that. Fun trivia, you even see the guy in the opening to War of Underworld right behind Kikoa. Anyways, Kaiba's Techno Ghost shows up and literally gives Kirito admin access. Yes, a literal boost from a side character that gives Kirito the literal authority to kick Sugo's ass. This is the most literal application of this character arc that ever existed in literature. You can't get any more in your face than this. But sadly, the arc is so shit, and the disappointment for people that Aincrad ended for this shit was so strong, along with hating SAO becoming so popular at the time, that everybody glossed over this or pretended it didn't exist. I can't really blame them. Either way, that was Kirito's character arc. He can be capable and can train as much as he wants to boost his XP or boost his character, but at the end of the day, he's just one man. Power to overcome something is granted and taught to you by others. You just try to be the best version of yourself that you can be and keep moving forward. Great. Except they didn't touch on any of this after that scene, so you kind of have to piece the development together for yourself. Although, there is a bit of important reinforcement for this when Kirito can't beat Deathgon at all until Sinon creates an opening for him. Though, again, the show doesn't really tie things nicely, meaning you don't really get any satisfying character growth catharsis from this, unlike Vegeta's sacrifice. Outside of those instances, Kirito just enters the nice and experienced guy mode after this. So who else is a nice experienced guy? Goku! Back to quoting Mark.
Unlike the positive character arc, which tells the story based on a lie the character believes, the flat character arc is about the truth the character believes. In the flat character arc, the protagonist already has a handle on what the truth is, and he will use that truth to overcome the challenges of the plot, and probably to transform a lie-burdened world. One of the defining features of the flat arc is that the character begins his journey already believing in a certain truth. Son Goku is an enthusiastic, innocent, and motivated person who believes that he can always be better today than he is tomorrow. And not in a diminishing or deprecating way, he thrives on knowing he can be better tomorrow than he is today. And these ideals have not changed since he was first introduced to us in the mid-80s. If we look closely at the character of Son Goku, we observe from the very beginning of the show his character is fundamentally at odds with the story and world around him. This is a writing technique specifically used for characters that utilize a flat arc. And so while Goku himself believes the truth from the outset, pretty much all those he interacts with believes a lie. And the intrigue for the journey comes from Goku's sensibilities changing the world around him for the better. For example, he also changes the supporting cast for the better too. Characters like Master Roshi are now retired because Goku is now the new savior of the Earth. Characters like Tenshinhan, Piccolo, and Vegeta have changed from bad to good because of his actions.
Alright, I see the elephant in the room, and this is where the previous arcs crumble. Yes, Sinon has some nice development due to Kirito. Yes, it's delivered in a boring pure dialogue scene in the cave. Yes, the Aincrad characters all look fondly towards him for being such a swell guy, but that's not really some sort of thematic ideal that he carries forward, is it? There's a recurring theme with this series. be super and unnecessarily vague with implying something, then a whole while later apply it in the most literal way possible through technological plot devices. In Alicization, the residents of the world of Underworld have the seal of the right eye applied to them, a seal that prevents them from breaking the taboo index. Consider this index the very physical manifestation of passivity. Don't think for yourself, don't fight for yourself, don't resist what we don't want you to resist. Basically, everything Kirito has done on the outer world in the very definition of being a guy that pushes forward to fight for what he believes in, to protect what he appreciates, and to be his own person. So, everything the previous arcs were trying to imply and do is now literal. The passive people caught in the shock of Aincrad being a death game end up by Kirito's side at the end. The people not willing to get along for a second in Alfheim Online, all gathering together to conquer the World Tree. Those are very poor applications of this theme because they're all too vague. Who the fuck knows if Kirito inspired any of these people specifically? There's no real setup or payoff for it that gives you any sort of catharsis. So compare this to Alicization, where you have the dynamic Kirito and the people around him are supposed to have now being integrated literally and physically. He doesn't have a seal, they do. He can apply his ideals, they can't. They don't even try to. They're conditioned into this way of thinking. They believe in it. This is where we have some of the most enjoyable shit in the entire franchise. Remember when I said something really oddly worded? But at the end of the day, he's just one man. Power to overcome something is granted and taught to you by others. Kirito and Yujio's relationship is a prime example of Kirito being the teacher here. My favorite episode is when Yujio finally breaks the seal by fighting for something he believes in, as opposed to something he's told he should fight for. The show even reminds you that this is inspired by Kirito.
たとえ法で禁じられていなくてもしてはいけないことは存在するし、また逆に法で禁じられていたとしてもしなきゃいけないことだってあるかもしれない。友達のために勇気を振り絞って行動を起こしたティーゼとロニエにこれだけの残酷な罰を与える始めようとしているライオスとウンベールを止められない法、そんな法を守ることが善だというのなら、僕はいや、これはあの時と同じ。絶対に許せない。
That was some really strong catharsis, at least if you care for the character at this point, which I did. If you didn't, then more power to you, you're harder to please, I guess. The reason I keep bringing up a feeling of catharsis is because all these characters being influenced by Kirito are undergoing a positive character arc like Vegeta. They're getting moments like that self-sacrifice where they push through a lie they believed to overcome it for the better. His flat character arc only really works for his time with Sinon and GGO. This franchise just struggles with subtle character work for its protagonist. There's other moments like this with the people in Underworld, and it's really nice tone work. So, Kirito has a flat character arc in Alicization, where the people around him see the merits of being such a self-driven person that questions things around them and believe in their own moral compass instead of being completely passive because they're being fed the opinions of a YouTuber about why you should hate a show. Alicization is written well enough to pull all of that off. But where does the original cast come in? Well, in episode 11 of War of Underworld, something very important happened. The main cast was sort of reintroduced into the show, in terms of relevancy at least. Kirito and everyone in Underworld needs help, and our old gang are informed of this. Now, I started off completely cringing that we were supposed to act like we gave a shit about these characters coming back and helping Kirito. Most importantly, Suguha. I don't care what the show does, she's probably ruined forever to me because of her introduction arc. Regardless, this gets better as the episode continues.
一体何者なんだよ、その襲撃者っつうのは。
もしアリスが米軍の手に落ちれば、遠くない未来に無人機搭載用 AI として実戦配備されるでしょう。パパもママもそれだけは阻止したいと思うはずです。 なぜならアリスは SAO から始まった全ての VRMMO ワールドとそこに生きた多くの人々の存在の証であり、費やされた膨大な時間的、物質的、精神的リソースの結実だからです。
We've established the problem. Kirito and Underworld itself are in trouble. The old cast cares about this because Underworld is the fruits of everything VR, which they are extremely passionate about, and because their friend is there fighting for it as well. They tried thinking of what they could do to even out the playing field, and this is the hand they're dealt.
ねえ、それにしてもアメリカからダイブしてくる VRMMO プレイヤーが3万、多ければ10万か。そいつらが人海軍の敵に回るってことかよ。
It's 4 in the morning. Japan's VR servers are pretty much barren compared to the active American servers where it's barely the afternoon. So what do? This is the most integral scene of this video. Heck, this entire franchise if you ask me. Fuck the Gleam Eyes fight. Fuck Kirito. This is my favorite scene in the franchise. They reach out to the most hardcore VR players in the most hardcore VR MMO that they also play as hardcore players of the genre. Alfheim Online.
正直にわかに信じがたい。人間と同じ魂を持つ AI、 それを奪おうとするアメリカ軍。どちらも現実味がなさすぎる話だ。それに先ほど君はコンバートするにあたっていくつかの問題点があるとも言ったな。まずその問題とやらを説明してくれないか。
ええ、アンダーワールドは普通の VRMMO ゲームとして運用されているわけじゃないの。だからダイブにはいくつかの問題が発生するわ。まず第一に、アンダーワールドには操作可能な UI が存在しない。ログアウトの方法は内部で死亡することだけ。でもここでもう一つの問題が発生するの。アンダーワールドにはペインアブソーバーが設定されていない。 HP がゼロになるほどのダメージを受ければかなり強烈な痛みを感じるはずです。そして最後に、アンダーワールドは現在開発者たちにもオペレーションできない状態にあるの。つまりコンバートしたみんなのキャラクターデータを元のゲームに再コンバートできるかどうかは保証できないことによると、キャラクターロストという結果になる可能性もあるんです。
ロスト？勘弁してくれよ。ふざけんなよ。
ごめんなさい、保証はできないわ。あなたたちの育て上げたキャラクターがお金に換えられるものじゃないことはよくわかってる。だからお願いしてるの、私たちを助けてって。今アンダーワールドで必死になってアメリカからの攻撃を防いでいる私たちの仲間を助けてくださいって。
あんたが言う仲間ってのは SAO サバイバーのことだろうが。分かってんだよ。お前ら元 SAO 組が心の中じゃ他のプレイヤーのことを見下してることくらい侵略とか人工知能だとか魂だとか知るかよ。 VRMMO にリアルの話持ち込んで勝手なこと言ってんじゃねえ。
They get utterly rejected. They're disgusting and petty SAO survivors that should handle their own problems. But then you see this. I don't think I've ever had an emotional reaction provoked out of me this entire franchise when any of these characters were ever on screen, Lisbeth included. This is such a powerful scene of people willing to listen, to help. Nothing has ever made VR players ever feel like they have any sort of bond until this scene. Lisbeth even pulls on those strings perfectly afterwards.
これはリアルの話よ。そしてあなたたちの言う通り SAO 出身者はリアルとバーチャルを混同しがちなのかもしれない。でも決して私たちは自分たちが英雄だなんて特別だなんて思ってない。私とこの子はサバイバーだけが集められた学校に通ってるわ。その生徒は月に1回必ずカウンセリングを受けなきゃいけないの。嫌な質問をいっぱいされるし、飲みたくない薬を飲まされてる子だって何人もいる。私たちはみんな政府にとって監視対象の犯罪者予備軍なの。
That's right. Aincrad and its cesspool of mental disturbance, which was best represented in guilds like Laughing Coffin and characters like Deathgun, has ruined the reputation of VR MMOs so much that society is actively worried and watching the people that play these games, like they're a danger to society. And then she connects that with an actual real-world dynamic where people who sit at home playing games all day are considered escapists and deadweights to society.
そういう扱いをされているのは機関車学校の生徒だけじゃない。 VRMMO プレイヤーはみんな多かれ少なかれそんな目で見られてる。社会に寄与しないお荷物だとか、税金も年金も払わない現実投資者だとか、徴兵制を復活させて強制的に奉仕させるべきなんて議論まであるわ。
This is far more prevalent with MMO players, as those games quite literally suck out your daytime. I'm only mentioning this because if you ever had a moment where you felt like a degenerate for sitting at home and doing jack shit all day, this sentence probably got you to pay attention in this scene. It's clever blurring of the lines between the viewers that like MMOs and the players in the scene that love virtual MMOs.
だけど私は知ってる。私は信じてる。現実はここにあるって。この世界とここに繋がってるたくさんの仮想世界は絶対に虚構の逃げ場所なんかじゃない。私にとっては本当の生活と本当の友達と本当の出会いや別れや笑顔や涙がある現実なの。みんなもそうでしょ。この世界がもう一つの現実だって信じてるから頑張れるんでしょ。なのにこれはただのゲームだって、所詮はバーチャルの偽物なんだって切り捨てたら、じゃあ私たちの本当はどこにあるの。
This hits home with me on one specific point. I don't play MMOs anymore, but I do spend a lot of time online. I've made friends over the years through whatever the fuck chat site that's popular at the time. I've spent a lot of that time shrugging off those friendships at some point, just saying it's online or whatever. But eventually, if you really care, you realize the people you're friends with are real, and the friendships you have with them are just as real as any other friendship you'd form in real life. Throughout the entire series, Reki Kawahara has attempted his best to make the lines between VR and the real world blur. But if you ask me, he has always tumbled on his face in terms of pulling it off, or making it a natural realization or theme to the story. But this scene here is where he finally managed to make it work. VR is the real world. It does matter, because the people in there are real and they matter. The stories and events they go through are real and they matter. It doesn't matter where or when or how far apart you are in the real world. If you are connected online and you form bonds, those bonds are real. Whether it's with really smart AI like Alicization or humans in virtual reality. This is where their motivation is fulfilled. This is where they have the motivations they've never had this entire franchise. This isn't just a favor for Kirito. This is a fight for what they truly believe in. That the world of virtual reality matters, and the lives they lead inside VR are just as important as the lives on the outside.
みんなで育てたたくさんの世界がこの世界樹みたいにより集まって芽吹いて、ようやく咲かせたアンダーワールドって花を私は守りたい。お願い、力を貸してください。
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then please check out my channel. I'm not going to spend the last bit of this plugging my channel or socials, because can I just fucking say how amazing Eugene is in this scene? He doesn't say a single word, but his expressions are so fantastic that he even has a sweat drop when the crowd steps to turn against Lisbeth. He's my favorite anime Kirito ever fought against, hands down. That dude is a badass. Have you looked at that armor? Right, so anyways, I hope to see you around. And as always, if you want to support me, cheers.